To comprehend and have an authentic perception of duality, one must see within themselves the opposites merged. It is like a coin. It is not possible to hold onto only one side of the coin. Both polarities are involved. The coin will still have two sides, despite an unwillingness, ignorance, or inability to admit to the side unseen. It is only within our minds, our mentation, that one face is sacrificed for the other. To walk through the narrow gate, the duality within oneself must be merged, not by poetically or musingly fantasizing upon words and committing the mind to a false state of utopia. This does nothing. That is a self-induced state of hypnosis, which the New Age positivist movement exemplified thoroughly. Does only thinking or believing in the positive get rid of the negative? No, it only magnifies both sides in relative proportion to each other. The circle will still complete itself. The other side will not be denied. The mind is divided, and within this division is the inherent and eternal struggle for freedom. The divided mind will continuously chase after itself for its own precognized sets of conclusions or dogmas which formulate predisposition towards chasing after what have been known as goals. This creates our own imprisonment, seeing that the anagram of goal is jail, which means prison. A divided mind creates the constituent aspect for a chase through an endless circle. The dogma of divided dissatisfaction is everyone's personal religion, believing in the goal of an external savior. To be saved through money, prestige, fame, acceptance, accomplishment, or the faith in religious zodiac images representing the sun depicted as a man with long hair. It is all the same. It is the pursuit of the external which divides the internal, or vice versa. Division creates belief, which is the vicious circle of dogma, and is the reason that the word church is derived from the Old English cirrus, that was rooted in such Latin terms as circe, meaning circle, ring, circuit, circus. To those who are attentive, here is the direct link to the dog star Sirius, and also the god of the underworld, Osiris. Only when the polarities have seen each other can there be enlightenment. This is when the mind has merged itself and is then able to hand the crown back to where it belongs, the heart. Each of us is an emperor unto ourselves, with the heart being imprisoned by the rib cage, held by the mental prison of duality and the crown of thorns, which represents the spinal column and its 33 segments. The crown has been handed over through desire to de-sire each of us and keep us running in circles. The cross has always symbolized duality. Let the division become unitary, and the earth heart can become free. No one else can make this happen. Each of us needs to walk this path alone. Here is the principle of paradox. Paradox is not contradiction, it is complementary. There are no beginnings, there are no endings. A line is drawn linearly, and one side is looked at. Does the other side cease to exist without the observer? The viewpoint is changed, and the same question is asked again in regards to the unseen. In this way, it can be shown that the observer is the observed. The mind concerns itself with what it already knows, and what it knows is all from the dead past. This same past is then offered as a sacrifice towards the future, which requires the thoughts of the past. Everything is always complete. What is broken if it can be fixed? What is fixed if it can be broken? Barriers are self-created illusions, fostered by fear and love. Choice is saying both yes and no, despite the notion of separation. All gain has its equivalent in loss, while all that is forfeit is synonymously met by an equally opposite enrichment. There is no freedom without certain forms of dependence, in the same regard that subjection requires certain forms of independence. The path without conflict in this duality is the awareness of interdependence. What is put in is automatically taken out, just as all exits are simultaneous entrances. What power decides which one is taking place? If a half can always be halved again, it can be asked, what is a double? Where exactly is the beginning of a circle? Find the end point of the thinking mind. Without followers, who is leading? Does a leader know what they are following? Certainty is a strange phenomenon of interpretation. Light and dark are not enemies. They are a predominant example of the perfect action that is within the constant flow of paradox. Pleasure is the acknowledgement of pain. The one grows in proportion to the other. All belief requires rejection, which admits to the existence of that which is being denied. Both of these qualities, belief and rejection, can only be found in the mind. The egress of the body is the ingress of another body, corporeal and incorporeal. Infinity always is, and yet is always not. What is greater, the purported greatness, or everything inferior which is required to support it? Time is a duality of observation and a singularity of illusion. Choice makes up the smallest amount of impact in regards to any given reaction, with the belief that it makes for the largest. Without fear, there cannot be excitement, and without excitement, there is no love. Meditation remains unattached to all of this. Good and evil are swings on a pendulum, which are harmonized through momentum. Peace cannot be provoked any more than conflict can be tranquilized. These elements are not composites, and the one cannot be convinced to be more like the other. There is either doing or non-doing, calmness or action. Human interaction brings forth judgment, whereas judgment defines human interaction. Satisfaction is but a temporary staving off of desire in preparation for more dissatisfaction. Contentment is the Elysium between these opposites. What is a positive balance without its negative counterpart? If the entire world smiled forever, it would mean nothing. Who has gained life without also losing it? When man pushes nature away, he at once brings it closer, and this binds him. When man brings nature closer, she at once moves away, enabling man the freedom to breathe without being intruded upon. The earth cannot be incessantly inflicted with the force of destruction and also be looked at as an endless source of abundance. If an item that is sold can be sold again and yet again, at what point is it sold? The belief in self-importance is what creates the perception that paradox is a servant to petty human affairs. The embrace of one's death is the notice of assessment against one's fear. No further debts can be incurred at this juncture. Is love only a self-reflection of desire? Is hatred only the characterized opinions of everything that is rejected? To plant is to pluck, where all growth is quantified by diminishment. To listen does not imply that one hears, just as it cannot be assumed that because one hears, they have listened. When nations look to women for their defense strategy, they will have arrived at nature's wisdom. A battlefield of men that is willing to kill an assembly of women on the front line to protect their own heritage is the last expression that mankind is finished. Cowardice is the companion of courage. Without the snake, where would be the lion? Feelings are mirages of each other, the placeholders of the mind, so fleeting when seeking the immutable, and so constant when desiring change. How much else has music taught us? There is always a boundary from the threshold of visibility to the zenith of invisibility. To avoid death is to also avoid the living in the all too consistent and predicated fashion wherein humanity is constantly avoiding what is. Ease is counterbalanced by difficulty in something else. When comfort is sought, discomfort shall grow out of it. Can one extract from that which cannot be divided? A fictionally based economy cannot perpetuate growth without also supporting an equality of diminishment. Fictions can never supersede actuality. No relating is an island. All correspondence is connected in the ocean of infinity. Physics is not immutable, as its laws are not the dead phenomena that has so often been purported. To evolve is to mutate, and mutation is the very foundation of all change. Immortality can only be manifested through mortality, and vis-a-vis, mortality can only be embodied as a result of immortality, the bridge between living and dying without the need to cross. All acts of good are qualified by way of some evil done simultaneously. Hence, no evil deed goes unrewarded. What is a mystery except that which is unknown? What is the unknown without the known to qualify itself? Therein lies the delusion of the known as self-qualifier absolute, wherein the known acts as jury to the mystery of the unknown, declaring itself as the keymaster to all that is hidden. Paradox shatters this illusion by showing that the known and the unknown exist at once, where all mysteries are revealed and hidden together. The living are unable to hold any form of debt. It is the same for the dying. All debt is a fabrication of false imagery tied to an emotional state to try and induce a delusory set of actions. This construct is held together by that fraudulent institution that has been called belief. To have more of one species means to proportionately have less of another, and the balance shifts accordingly. Attention is the only psychological value. What is the only thing that inattention can be given? The user is the used. All masters are slaves to their subordinates. The lower in rank are the very reason for the supposed master to even exist, else their existence is but a vapid and useless wasteland. It is in the master's ignorance that he or she does not see that the controller is the controlled. Boredom is a calculation that stipulates the direction away from stimulation, which then formulates the derivatives that compound one's interest somewhere else. It is altogether a suicidal endgame. To pick a favorite is to also pick your bête noire. Only in the mind can one pretend that they are not putting on a contradictory and hypocritical sideshow in this manner. Woman as the ingress to all that is masculine, and man as the egress to the energy of the feminine. The circle must always complete itself. Seeing that there is no end and no beginning, there must also, by necessity, be no periphery. As without, so within. Paradox cannot be understood. Paradox must be seen. To submit is to omit, and to omit is to miss. One life cannot hit two targets. To empty oneself is to be fulfilled, just as to artificially fill one's life is to be empty inside. And they shall allow by force these ministers of freedom, with their incessant contradictions. To be permitted to do all that is demanded is an instruction from the sanctimonious, and can be ignored as easily as everything else that is hypocritical. Existence can only be one thing: pure synchronicity. Between antithesis and thesis sits the actuality, which is synthesis. Strength in one area must include weakness in another. Our senses point this out in every obvious manner. Memories are sketches of an outline derived from a limited framework of certain events that have triggered an emotional response in the network of our existential maneuverings. These same memos are used to compile scattered collages, which the brain enjoys calling the future. Anxiety is thinking that one has somewhere to go and not getting there fast enough. It is the disease that humanity is the most proud of. So quick that I see nothing. So slow and I also see nothing. Flowing with existence and seeing all that is meant to be. What is a life edited for content? A life not worth living. A fallacy on one side must also be false on the other. What an error to think that there are only two ways to look at a thing. Acceptance and rejection enable the circle to complete itself. There are no linear pathways.